everyone. Welcome to Barça News. It is December 29th, 2025, and the team returned to action today. And amongst them was Ronald Araujo. Also, Barcelona are now considering some Serie A options for the center back position. And finally, Barcelona have invited a Polish prodigy to train at La Masia. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. This is the Barça News Live podcast, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description, the chapters, and the timeline, in case you do want to skip through the discussion, get straight into the news. But for those of you who are watching, let's start filling up the comment section, or the chat section, I should say, so we can get this going once, of course, we start with the news. Now, for those of you who want any Barcelona jerseys, merchandise, gear, you name it, not just a Barca, but any football team around the world, any sports team around the world, you can head to Goal Kids Kickback or Fanatics, where right now they're having incredible sales, end of the year sales. And if you use the link in the description, you get even more sales, more offers that otherwise you would not get without the link. And finally, if you want to place any sports bets on any sporting event around the world, especially now that La Liga is going to resume on Saturday, well, you can head to Bet Us. Well, if you use the link in the description, you get $200 for free to bet. Anyways, having said all that, let's dive right into the news. But first, I want to remind you to make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and now we can begin with the news, because the first segment of news is big. Well, first of all, it's comprised of multiple bits of news, but it's also huge. It's huge because, of course, our team was back to training today. Hallelujah. Wait, which one was it? Oh, I have it on mute. That's why. Okay. Is it this one? Oh, it's the volume is all the way down. Yeah, let's go. But I feel like I totally killed the vibe because it took me so long. All right, let's start again. Today, the team was back to training. Let's go. Of course, the team was off for an entire week for the holidays, for Christmas break. And today, the team returned to training in what was an open-door training at the Johan Cruyff Stadium. So the fans were allowed into the stadium and were able to watch the team train. Kat was there. The players signed autograph. It was a really, really cool event. And this, of course, means that, well, matches are set to resume pretty soon. Of course, with the first one being against Espanyol, the Catalan Derby, on January 3rd, which is this weekend. It's crazy to think that this weekend is already an entire new year, 2026, which is snuck up on us. Now, the good news about the training today is that there were two players present and that train with total normalcy, and those are Pedri and Jules Koundé. And this, of course, big news. Pedri missed the last match of the 2025 year, which was against Villarreal, because he was feeling some discomfort. But today he trained with the group. He trained with total normalcy. And even afterwards, he gave an interview, a short, brief interview where he said that he's totally fine. So Pedri should be available for the match against Espanyol. And, of course, Jules Koundé, he had suffered a little bit of discomfort. We saw him getting subbed out, but he too completely fine, trained with total normalcy. So both Koundé and Pedri will be available for the Espanyol match. Now, one player who will not be available, and this is not going to be a surprise because he's never available, and it's Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo, the club were hoping that he would be available for Espanyol. They were hoping that would be kind of like his return match where he can get some minutes. That way he can get ready for the Spanish Super Cup. But it looks like he's not going to be back for the Espanyol match. He did not train today with the group. And now Barcelona are hoping that he could be back for the Spanish Super Cup, which means if he does come back for the Spanish Super Cup, most likely he'd only play a few minutes in the semifinal. And then we'll see whether he gets more minutes in the final as well. Now, Another player that was back today, besides, well, the entire squad, I guess, it was Ronald Araujo, who trained today with the team after an entire month absence. Now, as you know, Araujo did suffer a mental, I don't know if I want to call it breakdown, but he was down. Let's put it that way. He wasn't feeling well mentally after receiving that red card against Chelsea. He requested some time off from the club in order to recover. The club told him, take your time. They were very understanding. He went on a spiritual retreat to Jerusalem, and then he went to Uruguay, where he spent Christmas with his family there. And now he was back in training today, trained with total normalcy with the group. So it looks like Araujo is officially back, and he will be available for Saturday's match against Espanyol. And this, of course, is good news because, well, we need him. Right now, we don't have center backs. We just have Pau Cubarsí and Gerard Maldini. Sure, Eric Garcia is a center back, but he's been playing in defensive mid position. Sure, Kunde is a center back, but he's been playing as a right back. Christensen is injured. So we need Araujo now more than ever. I really hope that this month that he took off really helped him and that he is back ready to kick some butt. And who knows, maybe this is what he needed to rediscover himself, to find his form again, because the team absolutely needs him. Now, speaking of defenders, I do have bad news. I gave you good news with Pedri. I gave you good news with Kunde. I gave you good news with Araujo. Now, it's time for bad news, because unfortunately, when it comes to Barca, it's never all good news. There's always at least some bit of bad news sprinkled in there. But the bad news is concerning Héctor Fort, Barcelona's right back, who's currently on loan with Elche. He initially had a slow start to his arrival in Elche, but after some adaptation, he started to do really well. He started getting more and more minutes, especially since November. In 12 appearances, he had 2 goals and 2 assists. He was really, really finding himself, finding his rhythm, finding his form. But unfortunately, Héctor Fort underwent surgery today. It looks like he got injured against Rayo Vallecano. He dislocated his shoulder, and today he underwent surgery under the hands of the Barcelona doctors, the Barcelona doctors that operated on him. So he's going to be out. They didn't specify how long, but we've seen this story before. We're probably looking at a few months. But hopefully, Héctor Fort will be back sooner rather than later, because it will be an absolute shame if, his loan is completely ruined, his loan spell, by this injury, because he was starting to do really well. He was starting to impress. But by the way, what's going on with all these dislocations, man? Dani Rodriguez, at the end of last season, and we had Dani Olmo, now Héctor Fort. It's becoming more and more prevalent. And also, I didn't know dislocations got operated on. I want to tell you this crazy story real quick, and then we'll start with the comment section. But when I was a teenager, I was helping my dad move a fridge from the kitchen into the garage. And, I was maybe like 30, 40, very scrawny little kid. And my dad obviously was much bigger, much stronger than me. And he was like pushing the fridge, and I was on the other side of it and like pulling it. And then we get to the door frame, and the fridge gets stuck in the door frame. Now, my dad is inside the house on the other side of the fridge. I'm in the garage. The fridge is in between us, and then there's the door frame. So my dad's like he's like, lift, and I'll push. And I'm like, I'm lifting. I couldn't lift it. That fridge was freaking heavy. And he's like yelling at me. And I was like, I swear, I promise I'm lifting. He's like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. So he's trying to get to the garage instead of, going through the front door and going all the way around the house. He decides, no, I'm going to go squeeze between the fridge and the little space of the top of the frame. So he climbs the fridge. He squeezes through that space between the fridge and the top of the door frame, and he falls. He falls head first. He died like a dive, and he lands on his shoulder funny. And he dislocates his shoulder. He gets up, and his shoulder's looking all funky where it's not supposed to be. And I'm standing there like, holy shit, what just happened? And all my dad does, with one arm, he pulls the fridge out of the way, calls my mom. My mom comes out, and he points at his shoulder. My mom's like, oh, okay. She feels around, grabs his arm, pulls it. It makes the loudest sound ever. And my mom goes back in the house like nothing. And my dad's like, all right, let's keep going. And I was like, the whole time, I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? And then these players are getting dislocated shoulders and they go in fucking surgery and be now 4 or 5 months. And my dad was just like, pull my arm. And then he just continued moving the fridge. Anyways, different times, I guess. All right, let's do the comments section. And then we are going to talk about some defenders from the Serie A that Barcelona are considering. By the way, I made a video. It took me a lot of work, 2 hours, 3 hours, about refereeing errors from the Negreira era. I released the first video today. It's going to be 3 total or 4. I can't remember. First video is from 2001 until 2006. All the refereeing errors in favor of Real Madrid and against Barcelona. It's on the channel. Make sure to watch it. Tonight, I'll be working on the second video. Second video is going to take me even longer. It's from 2007 and 2012. Because there's more records of that era, so there's more footage. I'm actually going back and looking up highlights of matches to find the exact fouls, because I talked about this in that video, but Mundo Deportivo have released a report of 100 refereeing errors during the Negreira era. These are refereeing errors in favor of Real Madrid and against Barca. But not all the this long list that they created, most of it doesn't have pictures. It just says this happened on this match at this minute. So I'm going back, looking up the footage of that match and having to find the exact frame and screenshotting and marking it up. So it's taking me a lot of time, but I will be posting the second video either late tonight or early tomorrow. So stay tuned to the channel and show that video some love. The video that I posted today, not a lot of people watched it, even though it took me until 2 a.m. in the morning yesterday. Well, technically today, I guess, to finish it up. But yeah, show it some love. Show it some love. But anyways, let's do the comment section. And then we'll talk about the 2 defenders from the Serie A. Barca Mama saying, ready for some more time. Let's go. Barca Mama always supporting the channel, always in the comment section. Thank you so much for your support, Barca Mama. And Not the Gamer says, Mo, it's been a while. How are you, bro? How's Barca Athletic doing? And how's Daniel Rodriguez doing? I think that Rodriguez is back. As far as Barca Athletic, I honestly have not been keeping too much track of them this season. It's just, less time that I've had this year. But let's see how Barca Athletic are doing. Let's see. Standings. Barca Athletic are currently sitting 16th on the table. That's not good. That's not good. That means that's not good. That means not even close to promotion. But it is, we're still only. Wait, what the hell is this? This is last season. Fuck mine. Sorry, guys. Google pulled up last season. So I was like, what the hell? All right, let's see. Where is Barca Athletic now? Barca Athletic are 5th. All right, let's go. See, this is how little I know about Barca Athletic this season. Barca Athletic are sitting 5th with 25 points. It's 15 matches played. They've had 7 victories, 4 draws, and 4 losses. In first place is Poblense, then Atlético Baleares, Reus in third, and then Alcoyano in 4th. And Barca Athletic are in 5th. So I guess not too bad. Not too bad. They're going to have to pick it up, though, if they want to get promoted again to 3rd division, which is very necessary. We've seen a lot of players not wanting to come to Barca Athletic because they're in 4th division. So we definitely need to get promoted. And Landry says, hi, Mo, compliments of the season. I'm curious why some Barca fans want Lamine out from the survey. Could be Madrid haters be getting to them. Plus, are they forgetting that he's representing Spain? Well, it was only 0.33%, which means 1/3 of a percentage. So that's an incredibly low. So I wouldn't, that could be a freaking, a rounding error. So I wouldn't pay attention to it. Same with Rafinha, same with Eric, all those. It was like 0.33. So, 1/3 of a percentage. So I wouldn't even pay attention to that. And Van Lee says, hey, Mo, are these center back rumors just blue balls for culés while the plan all along is to have Araujo as a winter signing? So no decision has been made. I made that clearly before, and I'll reiterate it again. No decision has been made on whether to sign someone in the winter. This is an ongoing conversation between Deco and Flick. Deco is scouting the market, calling agents, calling players, figuring out what's out there, who can be available, who can Barcelona afford, because just because you're available doesn't mean that we can pay for you and things like that. And then taking those names to Flick and be like, look, this is what we have here. This is what do you think? So it's an ongoing conversation, right? If a name comes up that's available, that fits the profile, that Barcelona can afford, that Flick says go for it, then we'll sign someone. If not, we will not sign anyone in the winter. So no decision has been made. This is an ongoing discussion, and we'll see what happens. In the summer, yes, we are going to sign someone in the summer. In the winter, it's still a question mark. Very, very important distinction. Not the Gamer says, Mo, could we get a we are not paying 60 million for Luis Diaz for the all time sakes? We're not paying 60 million euros for Luis Diaz. It's because, man, sometimes you say something and it's just like, well, not sometimes, like 99.9% of the time I say something, it just goes over people's head. It is just like, oh, you said that. No, I didn't. Or they want to argue a point, but since I'm not making the point, they'll say I said it just so they can argue against it. And I was like, all right, well, at this point, you're just debating yourself because you are inventing things I said so you can argue against them and win the argument, even though I never said them. Man, this YouTube business, bro, you have to have a lot of patience. You have to have a lot of patience. And Voice says, is Ander Cortez training with the first team? I think he was. I think I saw him before the break. I don't know if he trained today. Let's see. Let's go back to this picture. Is that too small? It might be too small to see if he's in that bunch, because I sure can't see that much. I saw him train before the winter break. I don't know if I didn't pay attention if he was there today. Let's leave it at that. But anyways, speaking of defenders, let's get back to the news, because Barcelona are now scouting the Serie A for possible options. Now, as I said in between the two news segments, when answering Van Lee's comment, I'll say it again, because I'm sorry for those of you who are watching. This might sound repetitive, but there's a lot of people who watch the podcast once it's over and they skip the comments, right? They just use the chapters or the timeline, the chapters in the timeline, to just go from news story to news story, and they skip the comments in between. So I'm going to say this again. Apologize if it's repetitive. But right now, there's an ongoing conversation between Hansi Flick and Deco on whether Barcelona will sign someone in the winter. No decision has been made. Deco is exploring the market, seeing what options are out there, who's available, who we can afford, who fits the profile, and then taking those names to Flick. And then Flick is kind of like, all right, I like this one, I don't like that one. So anyways, right now there's an ongoing discussion. If a name comes up that fits the profile, that's available, that we can afford, that Flick approves of, Barcelona will sign someone in the winter. If not, if nobody convinces Flick, or no one that does convince him is affordable or anything like that, then we won't sign anyone. In the summer, we will sign someone for sure. And that someone will be a long-term signing. Someone that's young and can be here for a long time. The winter signing would be an emergency signing. Someone would come on a short-term basis. Someone maybe who's older. And that, again, is a question mark. Summer, for sure, we're signing someone. Winter, it's still a question mark. It's an ongoing conversation. Now, a lot of names have been thrown out there, names that Barcelona are considering, they're discussing. We've talked about some of them. And now, two more names have emerged, and these two names come from the Serie A. Now, the first name is, and you might have seen this guy, but it's no other than Juan Jesus. Or Juan Jesus. No, it's by Jesus. He's Brazilian. Oh, shit. Where did my picture go? Juan Jesus is another name that Barcelona are considering for the winter transfer market as a short-term solution, as an emergency option, now that Christensen will be out for 4 months. He is 34 years old. He currently plays at Napoli. And lately, he's been featuring less and less and less. So this could be, a good opportunity for Barcelona to lure him. Kind of like, okay, you want to come here? Maybe you can get a little bit more minutes. Not starting, of course. He's not going to be a starter. Whoever we sign in the winter is not going to be someone that's going to come to Barcelona and start. whoever we sign in the winter, if we sign someone in the winter, is going to be someone who's going to be fourth choice, third choice center back, right? Right now, our starters are Pau Cuarci, Gerard Maldini. We'll see if Araujo can dethrone any of the two. But whoever we sign in the winter, if we sign in the winter, is going to come to be a sub in case, Gerard Maldini is tired or, God forbid, injured or gets suspended, or Cuarci, same thing. Then we have someone to, take their place. So, Juan Jesus, 34, Brazilian, but he does have an Italian passport, Italian citizenship, so that's good. That means he won't occupy any of the foreign spots on the team. He's left-footed, also a big plus. He can play on both sides, right and left, and of course he can play as a left back, given that he is left-footed. Now his contract does expire in the summer of 2026, which of course means that Barcelona could sign him for very cheap, right? Because this would be Napoli's final chance to make some money off of him. Otherwise, he's leaving for free in the summer, assuming he doesn't renew, of course. So Juan Jesus, the first option that Barcelona contemplated in Serie A. The second option is Coney de Winter, not to be confused with his cousin, Coney de Summer. Terrible joke. I apologize. I'm sorry. That was my dad joke. I'm not a dad, but I felt it was right there. You had to. It was easy. Anyways, Coney de Winter, 23 years old, Belgian, currently playing for AC Milan. AC Milan signed him recently. I think it was this past summer, or maybe the one before. I'm pretty sure it was this past summer. He has a contract until 2030. He has a 20 million euro market value. He's right-footed, but he can play on both sides. Now, Coney de Winter has been struggling for minutes lately. And with the World Cup right around the corner, this could be a good opportunity for Barcelona to try, to try to bring him on loan, right? Hey, come here, 6 months. You can get more minutes than what you're getting at AC Milan. You can get ready for the World Cup. And then in the summer, you go back home, right? Because I don't think this will be a long-term signing. Because, again, his contract is until 2030. So expect AC Milan to want a hefty amount for him, as opposed to Juan Jesus, who, since his contract expires in the summer, you can probably get him for, 2 chickens in a go. Anyways, those are the two names that Barcelona are currently considering that have added to the long list of names that right now Deco and Flick are exploring. Let me know what you guys think. Do any of these names convince you? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. And now let's get back to the comments. Speaking of comments, John Rock says, good night to all my FC Barcelona family. Good night, my friend. Good night. Good to have you here with us. And Nathan says, hello, Mo. Who do you think will replace Lewandowski in the summer? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I have a feeling it could be Vlahovic if he does end up leaving. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe they're saying, Etta Young is on the list, but I don't think he's convincing. Not because there's anything wrong with him. It's just he's young. He's still not there yet. And here's the thing, and I got to say this, because a lot of people, when I see people commenting about center forward and people being like, oh, Ferran should start or blah, 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 or calling me a hater because I don't want Ferran. It always comes down to that, right? I'm just a hater. It's never like, hey, give me a coherent comment on why you think Ferran should be the nine. No, it's just I'm a hater. But anyways, here's what I've noticed a lot of people don't understand, and it's the number 9 position, the center forward position, is an incredibly important position, and you can't have anyone play there. You can't have good players there. You can have great players there. You have to have world-class players. Now we're talking about a club like Barca, obviously. Not everybody's going to have a world-class center forward, right? Levante and Leganés are not going to have a world-class center forward. But for clubs like Barca, like Madrid, the big, big clubs, for a club like Barca that generates so many chances, for a club like Barca that's one of the greatest clubs in the world, for a club like Barca that aspires to win all the competitions, you can't just have any random guy in that position. You have to have a world-class center forward. We're talking about the Haalands of the world, the Mbappés of the world. Look at Mbappé, for example. Speaking of, Real Madrid right now are absolute dog shit. Okay. Their midfield is non-existent. Their defense is as solid as Jello. Their offense, Vinicius and all those idiots, they do whatever the hell they want. They don't even want to press. They don't even want to help with the defensive duties. The locker room is completely fractured. The players do whatever they want. Nobody's playing as a team. Xabi Alonso has completely lost all control of the locker room. The players don't want to listen to him. They don't want to follow his plan. That team is in shambles. When I talk about the biggest clubs in the world, they're probably sitting dead last as far as performance. And yet, match after match, Mbappe goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, 5 goals, top goal scorer. That's the kind of center forward you want on your team as a big club. An Mbappe. Because look, if Mbappe can do what he's doing, all those goals with such a shitty Real Madrid, can you imagine what he would do with Barça, with Pedri feeding them balls, with Lamine Yamal feeding them balls, with Rafinha feeding them balls? He would have double the amount of goals. And not just Mbappe, but any world-class striker. And that's the kind of striker that you need, a world-class striker that can put up big, big numbers. Because if you want to aspire to win all trophies, well, you need someone up there scoring those goals. So it can't just be anybody. Okay. For example, Real Madrid, they've won so many trophies just by having a good striker and a good goalkeeper, because those are the two positions that are very sensitive positions that you cannot just have any average guy. Right? Courtois used to stop everything, so the other team couldn't score. And then, whatever center forward they had, Benzema, whomever would score just one goal, and then boom, 1-0. They won so many trophies just by having a world-class striker and a world-class goalkeeper. Right now, we have half of that equation. We have a world-class goalkeeper, Joan Garcia. Now, on paper, he's still not world-class because it's his first season at Barca. He hasn't won anything, but he's putting up world-class performances. So right now, we have half that equation, a world-class goalkeeper. And we've seen what a difference it makes to have a world-class goalkeeper. Now we need a world-class center forward. Because if Madrid can win all those trophies with just those two, world-class center forward, world-class goalkeeper, can you imagine what Barca will be able to do with a world-class goalkeeper, a world-class center forward, and also world-class defenders and world-class midfielders? So those are the two positions where you cannot have average guys. Not even good guys, not even great guys. You need world-class guys. And this is why I always say Ferran cannot be it. And that's what people don't get. They're like, well, he's a top scorer. It's a lot more than just stats, okay? And Ferran is not a world-class striker. Ferran is not an Mbappe, is not a Haaland. So we need a world-class striker. Those are the two positions with the goalkeeper that you just can't have anybody. Other positions you can. You can compensate, right? Pedri and Eric Garcia, for example, an incredible duo. Eric Garcia, would you call him top 5 midfielders in the world? No. Even though I like him and I think he's performing great, Pedri is. Together, they're amazing, right? Defense, same thing. Gerard Maldini, would you call him a top 5 center back like the Bastonis of the world? Fuck no. But look at him. He's doing amazing. You can compensate. The different positions on the field, you can have great players and average players. And as long as they're all playing as a team, as long as they're all like, the team gets balanced and compensates, right? And as long as the coach knows how to play a system where it can play to everyone's strength, you could do it. But goalkeeper and center forward, you can't. You have to have world class. And that goes for the center forward. So we can't have someone like Etaillon. Now, he might have the potential to become a world-class center forward, but he's not there yet. And if he does have the potential to become a world-class center forward, he would be a great signing if Lewy was 32. So you can have Lewy continue starting for the next 2-3 years as Etaillon learns from him. But unfortunately, we're not there. So we'll see who is it going to be. But right now, I don't see that many options out there. I mean, Harry Kane is probably the only affordable option when it comes to world-class center forwards. And that's about it. But it looks like he wants to stay at Bayern. So I don't know. It really worries me. That position to me worries me a lot more than the center back or the full backs or even the left wing. That really, really worries me. But anyways, I know that took very, very long to explain. Let's do one more comment. And that will do the next bit of views. But Joao de la Meida says David Odro must get promoted to the first team. He is good left back and a good ball player. He's doing good at Barca Athletic. I'm sure if he continues to impress, Hansi Flick will most likely call him up. Bisca Michael says, assume for 1 second that you had 3 billion euros. Oh, okay, let's go. What are we doing? Are you keeping one and sending the rest to Barca? And if yes, what would your conditions be? Barca have to use that money to pay the debt, for example. Ooh, man, a third of your fortune? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I mean, maybe if I had 50 billion, would I give them one? Yeah. This is what I would do if I were to give them $1 billion. It would go to a trust. That trust would have advisors. And I would be the ultimate decision maker. Why? Because I don't trust Laporta and his cronies to manage that money. Nor do I trust anyone who comes after or before. Money corrupts, okay? And you could be, I don't know, the Pope. That's a bad example. Kidding. But let's go with the Pope. You could be Mother Teresa there. Well, maybe not. Mother Teresa's Mother Teresa. You could be a nice guy. Let's fucking put it that way. You could be the nicest guy ever. And you see an account with €1 billion sitting in it, you start getting ideas. So I would put it in a trust. The trust would have advisors because, I might not. And these advisors would be people like Matteo Alemani, people who are knowledgeable about the footballing world who can advise me, hey, Mo, you should maybe consider this. Maybe you should consider that. And then I would have the final decision once I've listened to my advisor and say, okay, yeah. Now, part of that money, yes, it would have to be allocated to the debt. Another part would have to go to signings. And a third part, which will be, and this is not like equal. I'm not saying like a third, as in 33%. I'm just saying, just it could be divvied up like maybe 50, 40, 10, whatever. And another part would have to go to the other teams. Barça Femini. The academy. I think Barcelona only spend like 8 million or 6 million, something like that, something crazy low on the academy a year. And look what it produces. If you added up all the players that it's produced over the last 10 years, shit, it's made billions with just a small investment of like 6 million. I would double that investment. Can you imagine what we could do with double the investment? Same with Barça Femini, other teams. It would mostly be invested on the Femini and the Masia, and smaller chunk for the rest of the teams. And then again, signings, debt. But yeah, I wouldn't just put that in the account and be like, all right, Barca presidents, whoever you are, have fun. Fuck no. I do not trust those fools one bit. Anyways, all right, let's get back to the news. We do have to talk about, speaking of La Masia, since I did just mention it, let's talk about a striker, a Polish striker who has been invited to La Masia to play because he's been making a lot of headlines. He's been catching a lot of attention. And it's no other than this young fella whose name is, oh God, I'm going to butcher this. If there's any Polish people watching, I'm sorry. But I think it's Kajetan Goral or Kajetan Goral. It's Kajetan. Kajetan or Kajetan Goral, Goral. I hope I said it somewhat right. But Kajetan Goral is I think he's 11. I couldn't find his age online because, when they're minors, they protect him by not disclosing too much information. But I think he's 11. But he recently moved to Catalonia with his family from Poland. He's been playing for a team called Mercantil. It's a local team. And Catalonia has been playing for their youth team. He recently played in a tournament. Remember, he just arrived in Catalonia, and he was selected an MVP immediately. So far, he has played only 9 matches for Mercantil. Remember, he just arrived in Catalonia. That means he's still adapting. And in those 9 matches, he's been able to score 8 goals. Pretty amazing for someone who literally just arrived and just started playing in a completely new environment, new country, new style, new everything. But 8 goals in 9 matches, was selected the MVP in the month of December of the tournament that he participated in Cambridge. And Barcelona have invited him to train with La Masia. He's been training with kids his age, and so far, he is impressing his coaches. Now, Barcelona are not the only club that have invited this youngster to train with their academy. Villarreal have too, and so have Espanyol. And of course, we'll see how it goes for him with La Masia. But if it all goes well, then Barcelona could, of course, end up signing him. And I doubt if Barcelona do extend an offer that he's going to choose Villarreal or Espanyol over Barcelona, right? You don't move to Catalonia all the way from Poland to play for Espanyol or for Villarreal. But for now, he is training with La Masia. He is impressing his coaches. And we'll see how it goes. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we're going to talk about Gavi because we do have an update in regards to his recovery. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? I think right here. Not the Gamer says, what's the difference between 10 million euros net and gross? I heard Gil Mora wants 50 million gross per season if he goes to Europe. As a Mexican, I want him to come to Barca. Gross is the total salary, but half of it goes to taxes. Net is what you get after you pay taxes. So if it's 15 million, and this is how it works in La Liga. The other leagues are different. But in La Liga, it's about half of your salary goes to taxes. So if you're making 15 million gross, I mean, you only netting 7.5. I mean, only 7.5. Only, right? Only, I wish. Only 7.5 is hitting your account. Not the Gamer says, we better not sell Eric to PSG. I feel like that could be another Thiago Alcantara type of a sell. We're not. There's no plans. First of all, Barcelona said absolutely not. And Eric Garcia also has no intention of leaving. In fact, he just renewed his contract. So no, neither the player wants to leave, nor does Barcelona want him to leave. So there's absolutely no plans for Eric to go to PSG. He is staying put. And Not the Gamer says not to confuse him with his dad, Tony, the spring. Yeah, exactly. Henry Lopez says, why not Thiago Silva? What about Thiago Silva? Are you talking about like for the center back position? Not the Gamer says half the reason Madrid is shit because they play with Vinny as a striker. I mean, too many divas. That's the reason why they're so shit. Lan Ray says, hey Mo, still on the survey. I shared your shock when people preferred Alvarez to Haaland. However, I think people chose him because he's more all-around assist, speed, pressure, free kicks, and many more. Well, I think Haaland is more of a pure center forward as opposed to Julian. Julian is not your classic striker or center forward. He's not a box predator. Someone who usually does best when he's given more freedom to roam and can come from the right, from the left, through the middle. So yeah, in that aspect, yes. But for Barca, I think we would do better with a fixed 9, because when you have a pure center forward, then the rest of the team have a point of reference on how to formulate plays, on how to make passes, because they have that point of reference, which is the number 9 striker. Voice says, if Ferran starts finishing what is provided by the team, he can match those numbers of Mbappe. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's a big if, right? And it's like, if my grandma had wheels, she would be a bicycle, but she doesn't, so she's not. And Not the Gamer says, Balance was doing a 67. What? Ooh, I just did this and my neck went crap. Jesus. Nathan Ford says, I was thinking of 2 center forwards that Barca should go for, Lautaro Martinez or Mason Greenwood. What do you think? We can't afford either. And Landry says, I think Araujo should be considered as Koundé's sub. Damn, that man raises my BP as center back. If you check the ugliest performance this season, Araujo always started. Can't even pass. I mean, that's literally how PSG beat us, by the way. That match, well, not the only way. One of the ways. That match where he got a red card? That's how PSG, this is the brilliance of Luis Enrique. He was like, all right, you guys are going to mark everybody except him. Because that forced us to always pass the ball to Araujo because he was the only one open. And since Araujo's so terrible at playing from the back, it's like that went our entire build-up from the back. Really brilliant from Luis Enrique. And Not the Gamer says, thoughts on Matteo Alemany officially transferred to Atletico a little while back. I mean, he's a professional, and Atletico offered him a job with good money, and he took it. There's not much to it. right? I mean, it's not like he was a diehard Blaugrana and he went to like, a rival club. It's just like, nah, he's just a professional and he got a better job and he went there. Eddie says, you claim Ferran didn't deserve to be on the team, not that he wasn't world class. Don't be one of those. You make good content. He's not world class. Period. What's there to make? I've always said he's a good sub, but he's not a starter. You cannot have Ferran start. You don't go from players like Thierry Henry, Suarez, Lewandowski, Ronaldo Nazario to fucking Ferran. Come on. Let's get our heads out of our asses. Henry Lopez says, would you consider Lautaro Martinez for the number 9? I would, but it's just another dream, my friend. Maybe a more affordable dream than Julian or Haaland, but definitely an expensive dream. Let's see. Let me see his market value right now. Yeah, he's at 85 million with a 2029 contract. So we're talking about at least 100 that they're going to want for him, right? Because there's market value, and then the longer you have on your contract, the more they charge above your market value, above your MSRP, I guess. Think about it that way. So, yeah, it's just unfortunately another dream in a long, long dream list of dreams. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news because we do have an update in regards to Gavi, and this comes directly from the midfielder himself. Now, as you know, Gavi had to undergo another surgery on his knee after the pain resurfaced. You know, he was out for an entire year after he tore that ACL, damaged the meniscus, had to undergo surgery on that, was out for a year, came back, was doing well. Pain resurfaced in his left knee, and they decided that the best, they tried a conservative treatment. It didn't really work, so they decided it's best if he undergoes surgery just to clean up the area. He hadn't torn anything this time around. It was just to go in, clean up the area, and so far he has been out. How long has he been out? September, October, something like that. It's been a minute. Anyways, Gavi gave an interview recently where he gave us an update on how he's doing, and this is what our Lion had to say. Everything's going according to plan. I'm meeting the deadlines they've set for me, and so far, everything is going very well. What really matters to me is being here working to recover as quickly and as well as possible. And this, of course, matches the reports that I had told you about before, that Gavi, has been recovering well. He's meeting all the deadlines. He's not behind. He hasn't gotten re-injured. He's doing really, really well in recovery. His doctors are very happy with his recovery. And well, now Gavi confirming it himself. Now, Gavi was asked, when will you be back? And this is what the midfielder said. In theory, in 5 months, I should be ready to play. You learn a lot when you suffer this type of injury. Before adding, honestly, above all, you learn to be patient. What hurts the most is watching my teammates and not being able to play. Now, it's reported that Gavi, now 5 months he's saying in total, not that from here until 5 months, not May, but since he got injured. And right now, it's expected that Gavi could be back by March. Maybe he can start training on the pitch in February and be back by March. We'll see. Of course, Barcelona are not in a hurry. They know this is a very sensitive injury. He already had one relapse. This is why we're here. They don't want another relapse. They want to make sure he's 100%, well, 200% fine before he returns. So, Gavi, my friend, you're still young. You still have your whole career. Take your time. Focus on your recovery. Get better. Get stronger. And I'm sure when you come back, you'll come back even better. Because I believe, actually, I thought he came back actually better after the surgery, from the first surgery. And then this one happened, unfortunately. But I'm sure he's going to come back better. And he's definitely missed, not just, what he provides as a football player on the pitch, but also what he provides as, a leader, as a captain without an armband. Because, he's another Rafinha when it comes to the intensity, the heart, the grit, the fight. He's another Coutinho. All right, that is all the news. Let's do some comments before we head home. Well, I'm already home, but you know what I mean. Again, later tonight, I'm going to be working on the second video of refereeing errors during the Negreira era in favor of Madrid and against Barca to see whether referees truly favored Barcelona and whether Barcelona won trophies because of the referees. So stay tuned to that video. It's coming out later tonight, maybe early tomorrow in the morning. This time around is going to be 2007 through 2012, the Pep Guardiola years. Well, not all of them, but some of it. All right, let's see. Jamrock says Nigeria's striker Victor would be the perfect striker for us. Are we talking about Osimhen? Because if that's the case, wait, is Osimhen Nigerian? He is, isn't he? Because if that's the case, we cannot afford him either. I mean, Galatasaray paid 90 million for him. They're not gonna sell him to us for anything below that. Not the gamer says is Ferran. If Ferran is world class, I'm world class. Me too, my friend. Me too. We both are. Maybe we could both start for Barca. Eddie says, would a Gavi back at his best start in this midfield? Oof, that's a tough question. Probably not. Probably not. Doesn't mean you cannot start him sometimes, depending on what kind of match you're having, right? Because some matches you need someone like Gavi in the midfield. But honestly, the times he played in the attacking mid, I liked it. I liked it way more than a defensive mid. So I can see him playing there with like in the front, in the place of Fermin or in the place of Olmo, who's injured, the entire time. I can see it. Maybe not a definitive starter like Pedri, for example, but definitely for some matches, I can see him starting. And Not the Gamer says, the day you look up Shark on Google and Ferran shows up is the day I'll stop making fun of him. And let's see. Matthew says, guys, let's show favorite Mo some love by liking the video, please. Yes, please hit that like button. It's free. It takes a second, and it really helps the channel. And Barcelona says, I can't wait to see what Gavi can do once he's back. I 100% agree. I love Gavi, and I can't wait to see him back. I mean, it's an absolute shame what's happened with him. But the good thing is, after his first surgery, which was the very serious one, right? He was out for a year. He was still able to come back and back to his form. Took some time, obviously, but he was back to his form even better. And that's good. That's reassuring, right? Because, for example, Ansu, we've never seen Ansu return to his form after any injury. So I have hope that, Gavi will be back again to his form. And Larry says, Ferran can't even tie Anelka's shoes. He's not that bad. He's a good sub. He just cannot be Barcelona's starting center forward, Matthew says, Gavi has been missed. I can't wait to see him back. I agree, my friend. Fatah says, Gavi at his best is a starter. Simple as that. I'm not saying he's not good enough, but man, our midfield is packed, bro. I mean, and that's great, of course. I mean, I'm not complaining. Who doesn't want to have the problem of having so many great midfielders? But our midfield is packed. That's the only thing, And there's no one gonna bench Pedri, obviously, because Pedri is Pedri. But then the other ones, maybe, yeah. Like I could see Gavi competing with Eric. I could see Gavi competing with Fermin. So yeah, he could. I just wouldn't say 100% because it's just our midfield is so good, man. What a problem to have, right? Not the Gamer says, being completely honest, in previous years when Ferran was on the wing, if we had Prodigy, he would be riding the bench. Yeah, I mean, I like Ferran better as a center forward now, as a striker. Because he's a lot closer to the goal. So, he's been more effective because he's just not a dribbler, for example, nor does he have speed. So he's not someone that can necessarily grab the ball on the wing and just take off. But, putting him in that center forward position, you don't need those things. You just got to be able to push it. Not that that's an easy thing, obviously. Otherwise, anyone would be a center forward. That's still a difficult thing to do. But he seems a lot more effective in the center forward position than he does in the that in the wing. Sorry, I'm like getting crazy texts here. My phone is blowing up. from work. Anyways, let's do more. Barcelona says Gavi reminds me. What is wrong with me today? That's what happens sometimes when you speak different languages. All these languages just like completely become a mess in your head. Anyways, Gavi reminds me of Puyol. He has his heart and spirit. Yeah, man. I miss Puyol. Don't you guys miss Puyol? What a guy, by the way. Tactically speaking, perhaps he wasn't like the most gifted. I think Piqué was way more gifted, tactically speaking. But I mean, he's just his presence, his aura, the way he conducted himself, his leadership skills, the way he represented the club, its colors, the crest. What a guy, man. Forever our captain. Forever our captain. I mean, I miss those days. And Not the Gamer says, imagine a midfield of 3, Gavi, Eric, and Pedri. I could see that. I could definitely see that. I mean, I really liked Gavi in the attacking midfield before the injury. He's kind of like a Fermin that's a little better in tight spaces. Because Fermin is good in space. Tight spaces, almost better. Gavi had a little bit of both, you know. Faye says he benches Frankie and Fermin. Yes, but you do need Frankie for different type of matches. Sometimes you need someone who's able to drive the ball forward. And I'm not saying that Gavi can't do that, because he can. We've seen him do it. But Frankie's just, out of all these names, not including Pedri, of course. Pedri's just in his own category. But out of all the Eric, Gavi, all the rest of the midfielders, I think Frankie does the best job of driving the ball forward. He might. No. I was going to say he might be, close to Pedri, but no. Pedri's just in a class of his own, man. But when it comes to driving the ball forward, I think Frankie is the best that we have after Pedri. Again, Pedri's in his own class. So some matches you need that. And Not the Gamer says, we all know you just got 100 texts from girls and Ferrandi riders. I wish. Not the Ferrandi riders part, the girls part. And Barca Mama says, actually, no, I don't wish that. My girlfriend would kill me. Barca Mama says, absolutely 100% agree about Puyol. What a guy. Plus his hair. I mean, those big curls. Looks like a lion mane. I mean, that alone right there wins it. My all-time favorite, says Barca Mama. Yes, for sure. And Faye says, I like Frankie, but he needs to be more direct. He's frustrating to watch. I agree. And, under Xavi, I used to defend this part because I was like, nobody gets open, nobody makes the runs, and that's why he holds the ball too long. But now, under Flick, we see that he still does this sometimes. And I'm like, bro, come on. Now you don't have an excuse. Now I can't defend you. So I don't know what it is. And Martin says, hey, Mo, what happened? I was late. I heard that there are center backs is back. Man, a lot of things happen. I cannot resume 53 minutes of podcast. But, of course, you can watch the podcast when it ends, my friend, which is almost over. And Not the Gamer says, imagine if we could clone Pedri. My God, can you imagine 3 Pedris in the midfield? Mamma mia. That would be dangerous. And Faith says, agreed. All right, I think we covered it all. Today, I was able to do every single comment. I like that. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I will be making a second video with refereeing errors from the Negreira era in favor of Madrid and against Barca. So stay tuned for that. The first one is already out, 2001 to 2006. Second one will be 2007 through 2012. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Viscarsa.